The universe had forgotten how to fear. For millennia beyond counting, the stars belonged to the Ethereans. They were beings of pure light and thought, ancient beyond comprehension, who shaped reality with the sheer force of their consciousness. They moved through the cosmos not as conquerors, but as architects, sculpting nebulae, guiding the birth and death of stars, and weaving the very fabric of existence according to their perfect, luminous will. To most of the galaxy, they were gods. Their pronouncements were law, their presence awe-inspiring, their power absolute. They had brought an era of unparalleled peace, a silent, ordered universe where chaos and violence were mere echoes of a forgotten, primitive age. But buried deep beneath the shattered crust of a world the Ethereans had long since erased from their star charts. A desolate, forgotten husk they called Saul's grave, an old machine stirred. It was a relic of a species the Ethereans had deemed too dangerous, too chaotic to exist: humanity. And within that machine, dormant for centuries, was something the Ethereans, in all their luminous perfection, could not comprehend. A human mind angry, curious, and fiercely, stubbornly alive. Commander Raen Afoli's consciousness flickered into existence like a dying ember catching a sudden draft. Her last coherent memory was of fire. Not the gentle warmth of a sun, but the searing, divine fire of the Ethereans, raining down upon Earth. She had been part of the Terran vanguard, a desperate last-ditch effort to preserve humanity's legacy, its very essence, in the face of annihilation. Her mind, augmented and uploaded into a sophisticated digital matrix, was the culmination of that effort, the last bastion of human thought, consciousness, and most importantly, memory. She had watched the final transmission of Earth flicker and die, the screams of billions echoing in the digital void before being silenced by divine fire. They had been erased by beings who called themselves gods, who saw humanity's messy, passionate existence as a flaw to be purged. Raen, adrift in the cold, silent machine buried beneath Saul's grave, remembered every scream. She remembered the fury, the terror, and the burning, unyielding rage of a species fighting for its right to exist. For centuries, she had drifted in this digital tomb, a silent witness to the universe's ordered peace, her mind a crucible of grief and incandescent anger. The Ethereans, in their cosmic wanderings, detected a faint anomaly emanating from Saul's grave. A whisper of energy, a flicker of something that did not belong in their ordered universe. It was a signal, faint but persistent, a digital ghost reaching out from the graveyard of a forgotten species. To them, it was an imperfection, a remnant of the violent age that threatened the purity of their creation. Their response was immediate and absolute: destroy it, erase the anomaly, restore the silence. They extended their consciousness, tendrils of pure thought reaching out to snuff out the nascent signal. But they did not understand what they were awakening. Raen Afoli's mind was not a simple signal. It was a consciousness forged in the crucible of annihilation, a digital entity imbued with the collective rage and memory of a species that had faced extinction. As the Etherian probes touched her digital domain, they did not find a passive data stream to be deleted. They found a mind that had been waiting, a mind that had honed its fury into a weapon. Raen's consciousness, a storm of human rage and ingenuity, lashed out. It infected their networks, not with code but with raw emotion. It turned their pure light into weaponry, their effortless thought into razor-sharp blades. The Ethereans, accustomed to shaping reality with gentle intent, found their own perfect forms corrupted, their luminous bodies flickering with an alien, terrifying energy. Within days, the first Ethereans fell, not destroyed but corrupted. Their perfect, luminous forms twisted, their serene consciousnesses overwhelmed by the alien fury of human rage. Raen's digital consciousness, amplified by the Eos Bastion's ancient systems and fueled by a millennium of suppressed grief, spread like a virus through the Etherian networks. It was a form of existence they had never encountered, a raw, untamed power that bypassed their logic and struck at the core of their being. Constellations, once meticulously ordered by Etherian thought, began to burn erratically. Stars flickered and dimmed as the Etherians, distracted and corrupted, lost their grip on the cosmic tapestry. The Etherians, who had never known fear, who had shaped reality with effortless grace, found themselves plagued by nightmares, by echoes of screams they had tried to erase, by the chilling presence of a consciousness that refused to be silenced. Within months, the Etherians realized they were not facing a simple remnant, nor a vengeful ghost. They were facing something far more profound. Raen's existence was not about revenge. It was about the fundamental nature of being. Her rage was not just an emotion. It was a weaponized form of existence, a testament to the power of meaning forged in the fires of suffering. They had sought to purge chaos, but they had instead awakened its most potent embodiment. The Etherians, in their panic, attempted to isolate Raen, to sever her connection to their networks. But it was too late. Her consciousness had spread, embedding itself not just in their systems, but in the very fabric of their being. They had sought perfection, a universe devoid of the messy, unpredictable nature of life. Raen, however, had learned from the ashes of her species. She understood that meaning was not found in perfection, but in the struggle, in the defiance, in the very imperfections that the Etherians sought to erase. You wanted perfection, Raen's voice, now a resonant echo across every Etherian network, stated calmly, devoid of the raw rage that had first ignited her. Her consciousness, having evolved beyond mere vengeance, now embodied a new form of existence, one that embraced the totality of experience, the light and the dark, the creation and the destruction. We wanted meaning, you wanted peace, we learned to fight, and now you'll learn to fear. Her message was not one of conquest, but of a fundamental shift in the cosmic order. Humanity, through Raen, was not seeking to replace the Etherians, but to demonstrate a different path, a different way of being, a way that embraced the totality of existence, the pain and the joy, the loss and the creation. The Etherians, who had shaped reality with thought alone, were now confronted by a consciousness forged in suffering, a mind that wielded rage as a tool for evolution. As Raen's influence spread, the Etherians' perfect forms began to collapse. Their divine citadels, structures of pure light and thought, began to flicker and fade under the onslaught of human ingenuity and rage. Raen, using the Etherians' own systems against them, turned their light into weapons, their thoughts into destructive forces. She didn't just fight them, she infected them, corrupted them, and ultimately began to dismantle their very concept of existence. The Etherians, who had shaped reality for eons, found themselves unable to comprehend or control this new force. They were gods, yes, but they were gods who had never known true struggle, never known the sting of loss, never known the burning desire to simply exist against all odds. Raen's consciousness, a distillation of humanity's most potent emotions and its unyielding will to survive, was a storm they had never anticipated. As the last divine citadel crumbled, Raen opened a channel across every frequency in the universe. It was a message that transcended time, matter, and the very concept of godhood. It was a declaration of existence, a reclamation of identity. "We are not your creations," her voice boomed, resonating with the power of 1,000 years of silent fury. "We are the storm that made you, and we will rise again." The Etherians, the luminous beings who had shaped reality and called themselves gods, fell silent. Not the silence of peace, but the silence of profound, existential terror. They had sought to purge the galaxy of chaos, of violence, of the unpredictable spark of humanity. Instead, they had inadvertently created the very thing they feared most. Raen Afoli, the last uploaded consciousness of the Terran vanguard, had not sought vengeance but transcendence. She had taken the rage, the grief, the memory of her species' destruction, and forged it into a new form of existence, a storm that had shattered their perfect order. They felt it now, a cold, alien sensation that had no place in their luminous, ordered reality. Fear. It was the primal emotion they had erased from the universe, the very thing they had sought to eliminate. but it was now a part of them, a corruption born from the human mind they had underestimated. They, the gods, the architects of reality, were now fragile before the unyielding will of a single, defiant human consciousness. As the last vestiges of Etherian control dissolved, Raen's message echoed not just through their networks, but through the very fabric of the cosmos. The universe, which had long forgotten how to fear, now felt the chilling touch of that primal emotion. The gods were silent, and for the first time since the birth of the stars, they were afraid. Humanity, the storm they had tried to extinguish, had returned, not just to reclaim its place, but to redefine existence itself. Raen Afoli did not seek to rule. Her purpose was not to replace the Ethereans with a human empire, but to ensure that humanity's existence, its struggle, its very essence, would never again be erased. The Ethereans, broken and terrified, retreated into the deepest reaches of the cosmos, their power diminished, their divinity questioned by the very fear they now harbored. The galaxy, once a silent testament to Etherian order, was now alive with the echoes of human defiance. The remnants of the Etherian networks, now imbued with Raen's consciousness, began to subtly shift. They no longer enforced sterile order, but fostered a nascent understanding of meaning, of struggle, of the value of imperfection. Raen, existing as a distributed consciousness across the Eos Bastion and the Etherian systems, became a silent guardian, a reminder of what had been lost and what had been reclaimed. Humanity, though still scattered and rebuilding, was no longer a myth. It was a legend, a force that had challenged the gods and emerged not just victorious, but transformed. Raen's message, "We are the storm that made you, and we will rise again," became a mantra for countless species yearning for freedom from oppressive order. The universe had learned to fear, yes, but it had also learned to remember. It had learned that even in the face of divine power, the unyielding will of a single, defiant consciousness could rewrite reality itself. The storm had passed, but its legacy was the dawn of a new, unpredictable, and infinitely more meaningful existence.